the participation rule was at the center and the heart of the lawsuits to start with, right? So I actually, in a roundabout way, Bruce, I think this is welcome news for the real estate industry in that it starts to provide some clarity on what the changes will be so we can figure out how we can, work with those changes to still deliver the value to our buyers and sellers that we desire to deliver, right? And so none of this takes effect immediately. It gives us as professionals some time to figure out how to make changes, implement changes, be comfortable with changes, and be able to articulate and communicate those changes to those we serve. And I think that's a blessing as well. So we have more clarity than we had because of the settlement. And we've got some real specific items that we can start to go and understand and learn at a deep level.
I find it fascinating because we have short memories. And by the way, there's a lot of realtors in the business today have not been in the business that long. And what I think is fascinating is, if you go back in history, back prior to 1993, buyer agency wasn't a thing. In fact, if you were either the listing agent or the seller's agent, and everybody else was a sub-agent of the seller's agent. So as realtors, we all represented the sellers. And, so I find it fascinating that we realized that didn't really work, and we had to go down this road and provide representation for buyers. And yet, this whole thing is sort of pushing it back towards the other direction. But again, whoever controls the lead, right, controls the business. And I think, one, you're looking at an industry that says, hey, here's an opportunity. Let's see if we can't get to the lead first, because the bulk of loan officers get their leads from realtors. And again, it's going to be incumbent upon us as realtors to maintain those relationships. And this is why your database matters, by the way, because if you can control that relationship, you control that transaction.
So I don't think there's any other way to look at this than positive, right? Again, lots of questions around why it took so long, but it makes sense to align the limits now with market conditions as they sit today rather than back in 2008, which, by the way, was an interesting year considering the market dynamics and the Great Recession, right? It's safe to say that from an affordable housing standpoint, this is great news.